Greetings. I hope you and yours are doing well today, wherever you might be listening to this from. Now, the topic for today I would like to talk about is that in human history and what we're seeing now till this day, it's always the same people fighting against the same people. It's always the same, I guess you could say, bloodlines that have been in conflict with each other since the beginning of time. And the only thing that really changes about them at the end of the day is just the guise of whatever ideology or whatever nation that they represent. But at the end, those groups are always the same. And I believe that we as humans should focus more on unity, rather fall into traps by the agents of chaos. And by the agents of chaos, I mean that those that cause disunity. And those kind of individuals exist in every race, religion, group, you name it, they're there. It's that concept of good and bad that I guess some make the choice to follow, because we all have a choice at the end of the day with this life that's been given to you. How do you want to follow it, and which way do you want to go forward with the consequences that you're creating for yourself? So I would tell people that if you study human history, let's look at the current conflict. For example, the Persians, the Iranians, what's going on recently in the news. And you see that it's all a show. Like, what really happened? Nothing. And people were just kept in fear, anxiety. They were told to fear anybody that looks Muslim or Middle Eastern. For what? What did any of that accomplish? Now imagine if the same people that were spreading all this fear in media, for example, they would have said, okay, you know what? How about you get involved in your local community and see people that come from all walks of life, all backgrounds, and you realize that you as human beings have more in common with each other than you realize. And you notice that they have the same hopes and dreams for themselves and their families. You get on the bus, you get on the train, and you see the same thing. Everybody's going to work, everybody's trying to make a living. They're trying to do the right thing always. So collectively, as a humanity as a whole, we need to stick together in these times, in this current spiritual phase that we're going through, that some like to call the age of Kali Yuga, or the age of Aquarius, or whatever interpretation different spiritual ideas or practitioners have about this time frame that we're currently in. So I would say it's a time of great spiritual awakening. And this moment of peace took place is because of the people. Because the people are smart now. People are more, I guess you could say, the woke generation. So we're part of that woke generation now, and people are not going to tolerate nonsense or propaganda anymore that creates any more death or destruction for humanity. And I have seen a big difference, because I have lived through those times of 2001 and 2003, and if I compare the mentality of the people now to the people then, it's a big difference. Most people, even your average person that has never even researched anything, he's more aware now than he or she was before. And it just goes to show you that we as humanity, no matter how bad things might look, I believe we are going in the right direction in some sorts of way. If our awareness and if our reaching out to people and connecting with people and all the things that we did were able to divert a major conflict or major war, then we're winning together. And that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that even long before America even existed, Western powers were always in conflict with Eastern powers. You could have the Persians and the Europeans, they were always in conflict with, whether it was Romans or Greeks, or then you had the Indo-Persian empires. They were always conflicting with those from the West, and then vice versa. Even at that time, people had propaganda spread about each other, and then crusades, right? You had that going on, and where even then most religions were getting demonized, and today the same thing is happening. And on both sides of the fence, you still have the same bloodlines that across the world and across the ages, their faces might change as their immortal life ends, but it's always the same players on both sides. And most of these world leaders are friends behind the scenes. And you notice like these commotions or to get people in an anxiety always happens in major countries when it's like election year. So just happened now with Trump with election. The whole thing with Obama happened in end of 2011, approaching 2012 when his election was approaching. And then you had stuff that goes on in European countries, in India with Modi recently. So all this stuff, it's all a theater. They just do this to make sure they get their respective populaces riled up so they can continue to maintain their power. But you know what? I'm glad that what happened now, like people see through the illusion now. It looks like the illusion has been broken. Most people know that, okay, you know what? That concept of Shakespeare saying that this life is a stage and everybody are actors. So there is some truth to that. So whether you find these individuals in the media or on political stage, most of them really are actors. They're just playing a role. And some of them could be playing multiple roles at the same time. You just don't know about it. But it just goes to show you that the power of the human future and humanity is in your hands. If you as a collective get out of that mindset that I have to fear this person next to me because he or she might look differently from me, or they're from a different place, or they have a different belief on where they stand, you got to know that you two have more in common with each other as average folks than you realize. So it's often these families at the top that often run everything. They have a different justice system that applies to them. They have a different set of law that applies to them. And you have people of all those bloodlines at the top in each group. They just have that control. And the only way that their control fails is when you do a peaceful non-compliance, which means anytime there's anything that gets spread out to cause fear or cause anxiety or cause division with mankind, you just don't give it any attention, right? And it's just like anything else that's negative. You don't give it attention, then eventually it goes away on its own. And I believe that's the course that we as human beings need to take, is we need to be united within our communities, where whatever part of the world you live in. I'm speaking from the U.S. Western perspective, but I would say that in unity and in unison, we're more united than before. And it might look like there's division, but as a collective, I've seen people come together, and I'm glad where the things are going in the post-2020 world. Even if you can't like visually see it right now, I can feel it in my heart and in my spirit that we all have a great future ahead for us. And I'm thankful for that. But at the same time, just be mindful of these agents of chaos and these actors that exist on all sides of the spectrum all over the world, and don't fall for their tricks. Because anything in humanity that causes division or hatred in any way, shape, or form, that's ungodly. And that's not meant to be in your favor in any way. And you look at all the years of death and destruction that have taken place in man's history. What good has it done any of us? How about we try a different approach? How about we take the hate and the dirt and the ego out of our hearts to think better for everybody, and not think that this person's beneath me or above me. Everybody's equal. And that's what we need to get in our brains if we want to survive in this post-2020 world in a spiritual way. Because mankind is still fallen. And we have to uplift fallen humanity through our own individual efforts, and we need to do those things. So just get to know people, sit down, don't judge them by what they look like, turn the TV off. There's a reason why it's called television, right? Tell live vision, tell lies to your vision. So just don't give them any mind, because those entities or those individuals behind that are controlling everything, they're powerless when you don't give them any power. So it's like that movie Roddy Piper's, may he rest in peace, They Live. Now in They Live, he puts those glasses on, and he sees that there are a lot of entities around here walking in earth that were causing disturbance, walking in the form of human beings. And how did he destroy their control at the end? And if you watch the movie, you see he goes to this like TV station where all the signals of mind control were being broadcasted. And I think he turns off the antenna, or he destroys the antenna from the ending of the movie. And that's when people, like, the control lifted above the people and humanity became whole again. So there was a lesson that was taught to you all in that movie, whoever had the eyes to see what was being portrayed. So we as humanity need to come together and not let entities from this world or any other realm come and divide us or cause fear or keep us in anxiety and keep us in a state where we're always fallen. We have to uplift ourselves and ascend again. And to do that, we need to realize that, okay, we're all one human family, and we all have something in common with each other. And that's all there is to it. There's nothing else to it. And as long as you don't pay any of this nonsense any mind, nothing happens. As you've seen recently, nothing really happened. So that's pretty much it. So these bloodlines, if you want to make them irrelevant in the post-2020 world, then the best way you can, derail their agendas of control and whatever else that they have been doing throughout the centuries and throughout the ages is just don't pay attention to them. Because wherever your attention goes, energy flows, and you're helping them manifest whatever they want to manifest. So just don't pay attention to them. It's like what a lot of our spiritual leaders have taught us in life. Don't pay attention, and just keep walking, keep it moving, and know where you stand, who you are, what you represent, and what your role is in your community, and how you guys are going to stick together and be the shepherds of your community. And then that's it. Then it doesn't matter who's in charge or who's ruling the world, because at that point you made them irrelevant. And if all humanity comes around that mind frame, then I believe we have a chance at the future. And I know we will, because it's like I said, I seen a big difference from the 2001-2003 era and now in 2020. So I'm thankful and I'm grateful, and I pray that God blesses all of you and your families, no matter where you come from or what you believe. I wish greatness and prosperity and health and happiness for all of you in all ways, shape, and form. Thank you, and you have a beautiful night or morning wherever you might be.